I was thrown in the deep end, bro. The first shoot that I did, I had no idea what I was doing. three camera shoot, having to set up lights. Like, I never did that before. White balance was everywhere when I went back to editing. I had no idea how to like color grade. But with that, that's part of the cultivating process. It's just like, hey man, at some point, the seed goes in the soil. Hey everybody, welcome to Dynamic Range episode 3. Let's go, episode 3. We've done it, so far at least. And today we're going to be diving deep into what it means to us as creatives and business owners, how to cultivate, right? We talked about the seed, and everybody has seed with them, but how do we cultivate the creation? How do we cultivate this seed so actually it grows so that way we can end up conquering? And as always, joined by my friend, my co-host, and just, man, I don't know what else to say, but Alfredo Briones.
We're here.
Welcome to Dynamic Range, episode 3. How you feeling, man?
Episode 3. I'm feeling great. I think it's insane that we're on episode 3, so I'm still excited. I'm still feeling the high of this podcast. But
yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's been fun. This weekly thing it's come up a lot quicker than I expected. It's like
it's challenging.
Man, we got to film. We gotta do this thing.
For me, it's challenging, it's uncomfortable, and it's fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, it's really how much do you really want this? And for me, yeah, I mean, I'm at a place right now where I'm setting up in so many different locations. So I don't have a setup fully, designated for my space. So even just that, like, until I invest in more lighting, I will reach that level of comfort. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, you got to want it, you got to set up, you got to love it. And I'm just so grateful to even be able to do this.
Yeah, man.
It's that like, it's that like super cheesy, but we don't have to do this. We get to do this,
We get to do this, man. That is my pastor's favorite saying right now, because the church that we're in, we just planted 2 years ago, and everybody's volunteer, including the pastor Josh. And he's like, we get to do this. It's not something that we get paid to do. It's not something that, we have to do because we're on staff, but like, no, we get to do this. So we get to sign up. We get to be a part of this thing. So yeah, man, we get to do this podcast. I mean, who else? Not many other people can say that on a weekly basis, that we get to sit down and record conversations and document our journey as far as creatives and business owners and what we're learning, what we're going through, and also, trying to pull people along with us and try to get people to hop on board. So, but speaking of like hopping on board and setup, man, we didn't talk about this, but if you want to steal my setup, I got a link in the description below for my camera, my lens, the 9mm Huawei manual focus APS-C lens. I know it's
got
way
the 9mm
about everybody's head. My microphone, my lights, everything is in this description below. Just click the link and then fill out your name and email, and we'll send you over my exact podcast setup. So, Fredo, if you want to invest in a podcast setup, I got that link, bro.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So, today we're talking about the second pillar of Dynamic Range. The first one's create. We hit that pretty hard last week. The second stage is cultivate. So, like I said in the intro, everybody's got seed, right? Everybody's got something that they're given. But how do you actually cultivate it? How do you actually intentionally grow with what's been given to you? Because if you don't, then that thing just dies. So give me some thoughts about how you cultivate, your business, your life, clients, projects. How do you cultivate in your life?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think before I even answer that, it's important to dive in even just what cultivating means, because some people may not fully understand the word cultivating or cultivation. Yeah. Because in other words, cultivating means to pursue, to till, to give us the definition. Do you have it?
Yep.
Or do you want me to pull it up?
I
Yeah.
got it. Cultivate, according to Merriam-Webster. This is old school, y'all. Merriam-Webster used to be, or still is, a dictionary, right? We used to have to go to the library, pull up this dictionary, or you had one sitting on
Yeah.
your shelf at the house. But so it's not. I could go with the AI quick translation that's killing everybody's SEO right now. But I'll actually click on the link. Give a shout out to Merriam-Webster. So according to Webster, cultivate is an old farming definition, meaning to prepare land for the raising of crops or to loosen and break up the soil around growing plants. It could also mean number two, to raise or assist the growth by tilling or labor and care. And then more of a cultural sense, it means to improve or to develop by careful attention, training, or study, to devote time and thought to. And then here's something. I have a little kids definition. That's what it went to. Kids definition. First thing.
Sometimes you have to go there.
Bro, you know what they say about the third grade reading level these days. That's just what they went to, straight up. Kids definition. So that's a kids definition to cultivate for everybody listening. So there you go.
Dude, that's good. In other words, there's even just a Hebrew translation. I'm always so intrigued by the Hebrew translation, but
Yeah.
even just another word for cultivate is to nurture, to just
I love that.
simply take care of. And I think for me, where I'm at in my business, I'm learning how to cultivate. I'm reading a book, right? I don't want to talk about what book I'm reading until I'm finished with it. I want to make sure it's good. But so far, what I've been reading, it dives so deep into just the importance of cutting off the roots or the pumpkins that are not growing, the ones that are not producing, that are not flourishing. And
Right.
so in this season I'm having to learn how to step back from some edits that maybe they don't need my sense of touch, because as a creative we want to be in control and we're constantly trying to take over everything, at least what comes into the projects that I get. And so learning how to cultivate is learning how to take care of letting even just go some of the creative process that you may make better videos when you not just separate it or delegate, but completely cut off some jobs. Like, we don't need every job. Or even just like, yes, there's been moments where, that high paying job is so tempting. I want to take it and, it pays good, but it's going to hurt my creative process.
Yeah.
And I have to cultivate through that as well. Just even learning the art of no, and yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yeah, and let's dig a little deeper. Like let's talk to, say, like the beginner who's out there who just picked up a camera for the first time or just picked up a paintbrush. Like early on, how did you cultivate your craft? How did you learn how to really develop and to nurture your natural creative sense of creating? I feel like a lot of people have that inside of them, but they don't. They're like, I don't know if I can actually do this full time. So how did you really take that step to nurture that gift and to cultivate that gift into what it is now?
Yeah. Do you think it's like a one-step process, or do you think it just is kind of all over the place?
Dude, life is never like up and to the right. It's never like this gradual step up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it can be all over the place.
No, the reason I asked is because, like, for me, I definitely feel like I did this whole thing backwards. Like, like
Yeah.
so many, the obvious learning curves, but just like, I think when I truly started seeing just, because when you're in it every single day, you can't see the growth. Like every single day, you're constantly pouring in, you're planting, you're watering, everything you need to do, but for some reason you can't see the growth. And I wanted to actually give a good example. It's a little bit off topic, but you know, for me, for those that don't know, I've done a little bit of dog training on the side.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect example, but where I'm going with this is, you know, when you train a dog, it's all about repetitions. It's all about doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, to the point that, you know, what it's called is positive reinforcement. You do what you're, you know, the dog does the wanted behavior, you reward them. However, like when it comes to a dog's growth and their training, you can't see it, you know. Mm-hmm. It can get so repetitive to the point that some days it's boring. Like, you don't even know if you're making any level of growth. And maybe the reason why I'm bringing up even dogs is, one, because it's important to me, but two, because in everything that we do, we need to cultivate. You know, we need to cultivate in habits, in relationships, in our relationship mm-hmm. with God, and just like everything definitely needs structure. We had that conversation just a few days mm-hmm. ago, where I was just overwhelmed by, you know, the good problems that I have, right? It needs structure. And so with to go back into like just truly seeing that, like the fruits, I think it, you know, truly for me was once I started removing the things that are not mm-hmm. as important, and even just going simply to the drawing board. Like this weekend alone, I stared at all of my clients. Just really, who do I need to take care of? And who, mm-hmm. And it's not about who pays more, it simply goes back to, you know, what's worth cultivating here. Because not mm-hmm. only are you hiring us for your business, but it's also my business on the line. Like, I'm also representing this video. And so I think truly removing those things that don't matter is what helped me in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And like, even like biblically, right? Jesus gives this parable of the farmer sowing seed.
Yeah.
And you know, it's in Matthew 13. I think it's in Mark 4 and some other place in Luke. So it's in all the synoptic gospels, which means it's pretty important. But anyway, it talks about this farmer sowing seed, scattering seed wherever he goes. And some fell on the path, right? On the concrete or the dirt road, you know, back then. And that obviously the birds came and picked it up. Some fell on soil that didn't have any topsoil on it, just the dirt and the rocks, right? And it grew up and it was choked, and it was whenever life came, really, whenever the heat came, it didn't have roots. So that seed died, right? Then there are some seed that fell in soil, but it was thorny, kind of what you're saying, right? It was sown in there, but the thorns and the bristles choked it out once it started to grow up. Right. And that's kind of like what you're saying, kind of where you're at as far as your business is, like you feel like you need to, you know, cut some things out to be able to make room, so that way that seed can really grow up. And then the fourth position that the seed was sown was in good soil. And in that good soil is where it produced a harvest of 30, 60, 100 fold. And so that's what we want to be. We want to be good soil. I want to be good soil. I want to be a place where, you know, God can trust me with seed, that it'll produce fruit, right? As a father, as a husband, as a business owner, I want whoever I'm in communication with, whoever I'm sowing into, I don't want to sow into somebody or something that's not going to return anything, right? At the end of the day, It's just like, hey, I'm not instructing my kids or disciplining my kids or doing things with my kids so that way they can turn around and not do anything with it. Same with you and the dogs, right? You're not sitting there training over and over and over again so that way they can just keep doing the same pulling the same mistakes over and over again, right? You want to be able to pour into something that you know can have a return. Same with business and clients. Like, dude, I don't want to sow into a client who's always asking for more. It's like, hey, this is our contract, and they're like, oh, but yeah, can we add this? Can we do this? Hey, I know we're supposed to have a 5-hour shoot, but can you squeeze in, another 2 hours today? Hey, I know we are only contracted for this, 6 reels, but can I get another 30-second video to put on my website? Right? Those kind of clients are ones you're just like, okay, like maybe you need it for the season, maybe you don't, but like at the end of the day, it's like, man, this is really pulling from me, right? So I guess kind of what I'm getting to is like, how do you know when you're in the kind of the thorny soil of just like when things are like choking out the life of the good seed?
I was going to say,
good soil.
Before we go further, cultivation doesn't mean compromising. Sometimes we try to compromise for those extra 2-hour shoots and all that. But before that as well, I wanted to ask you, what are you doing to cultivate?
Yeah, I mean, right now at this stage in life, what I'm doing is, again, I talk about these two guys a lot. I've never met them in person, but I have gleaned a lot from their podcasts and their other teachings. But Myron Golden and Omar El Takori are two people that I learn a lot from. And so Myron has this saying of always be learning, ABL, always be learning. Right. And I've felt that. I've taught that. I've done different trainings and things like that where I'll go in and just say, never stop learning. Always be a student. Omar El Takori says that. Always be a student. Be humble. If you're not humble, you can't learn because you don't ask questions. And again, Myron says, don't seek to be interesting, because people who try to be interesting are really boring because all they do is show off the surface level. But instead, seek to be interested.
That makes a difference.
Build in public. Find out what you want to know, and then know that's only the beginning. That's only the seed usually, right? When you learn something new, it's like that's only the seed. And then you plant, you cultivate that thing, and you dig deep, and you keep going, and you keep finding, you keep digging for revelation. So I say all that to say, man, starting off what I did, right? This was the YouTube filmmakers boom, right? 2015, 2016. So I remember my first Peter McKinnon video that I saw was how to make a cinematograph. And a lot of people don't know what a cinematograph is because that fade went up and that thing came crashing down. So that was my first video that I watched for Peter McKinnon. And I was like, dude, this guy like knows what he's talking about. And so I started following him. At the time, I think he had like 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, and now he's pushing 6 million, to almost 10 years later, which is crazy. But, so I watched every one of his videos. Same with Matty Hipoya at that time, was Travel Feels. And his saying was learn, make, repeat. Learn, make, repeat. Right. And so like I started like gleaning these things from these guys that I've never met, that I would love to meet one day. But that's something that I used when I was working at the church. Right. Because I was thrown in the deep end, bro. I was thinking about this morning. The first shoot that I did was was incoming at this foster care center. And bro, I had no idea what I was doing. three camera shoot. Right, it was me, Craig, and Shauna. We all went in there setting up. I'm like having to set up lights. Like I never did that before. So we had this huge airy kit that we're rolling in there, and like we're looking impressive. Like I'm feeling good. We got the Sony FF7 and some other cameras, and bro, trying to set up, pick out what. Yeah, and Shauna's like, where do you want this light?
Yeah,
where do you want this light? I'm like, over there. And where do you want this camera? I'm just like, over there. And like, dude, I remember putting the 70 to 200 lens in the back of the room. and like trying to get like this medium shot. Like, dude, I don't know. White balance was everywhere when I went back to editing. I had no idea how to like color grade, but that was like, I just did it, you know, just like for whatever reason, Shauna had the trust in me to set it up and to shoot it. And it was a huge learning experience for me. And I was nervous, bro. Then I was like asking questions. I was interviewing, and the conversation went like an hour and a half, and it had to be trimmed down to 2 minutes for the broadcast. And dude, like, man, I had no idea. But with that's part of the cultivating process. It's just like, hey man, at some point the seed goes in the soil. Now,
you know, yeah. No, I mean, you know what's beautiful, even just about that scenery you just pictured, like nobody in that room expects that I remember just being in those rooms and thinking like everyone knows way more than I do, but like we all think that way, and everyone's just like faking it till they make it. Or at least I did. I was, I told myself like, just make it till you make it. Yeah. But I think even that comes to show like the power of community. Like there's so much importance in just having the right people, and some people have a hard time finding the right people. I know I did. That was very challenging for me. Even there was a season as creatives, right? We think, there's we like you mentioned, you name drop Peter McKinnon. Like I think all creatives started off watching Peter McKinnon. Like that's kind of like their first entry to just this creative world. And I think even just how you talk about him, like him, like all of those things like matter. Even just like who you watch on YouTube and I just let's talk about the power of community, because I think that's what has made us, even through being in those rooms with like great people like Shauna. I mean, so sharp, the sharpest people like Craig, being able to think so quick. When Craig was focused, Craig is focused. Like there's no messing with Craig.
You don't touch Craig when he's focused.
Yeah. So I mean, those people like have made us today in one way or 100%. Another,
Yeah, and I love that. And I love talking about like what rooms are you in, right? When I was counseling, I did this early intervention drug program at the juvenile court, right? So these kids who came in who got busted for drugs, they had to go through this, I think it was 6 or 8 week program that I would help teach. And the bigger thing for me was like not about, the external, yes, the drug use is an issue, right? You can't do that.
Right.
But the big thing was like, what are you doing with your time? Because the one thing in life that we can't get back, we can make a bad financial investment, and then at some point we can recoup that. But the thing we can't get back is time. So how are you spending your time in private, in public, in community? What are you watching? What are you consuming? Are you just doom scrolling or brain rotting? Is that what they call it these days on social media? Or are you like investing in yourself, even through free content on YouTube, or a free course, or say you're one of your favorite creators has like a week-long masterclass or a week-long coaching program? Like, what are you doing with your time? And so that's something, again, like early on that I really devoted myself to. Is like, dude, I was like pouring myself into all these tutorials that I still glean from today, and I still even go back and look at almost 10 years later. But the importance of community, the importance of being in the right rooms and having the right conversation and asking maybe not the right question, but just asking questions. So many times I found myself like with so many questions rolling in my head, I'm like, I can't ask that because I don't want to appear like I don't know. But I'm at a point now where I'm like pushing myself to ask these questions, because if I have it in my mind, it's like how many other people in the room have the same question, and I want to be able to know the answer for myself. And so I want to be able to humble myself to ask these questions. But to answer your question about the importance of community, man, like I think about our relationship over the years, and I think about how much we've learned from each other, whether that's simply passing a video back and forth, Hey, bro,
Yeah.
what do you think about this? What do you think about this transition? What do you think about this open? What do you think about this hook? Or it could be like, bro, just yesterday. Hey, man, what do you think about this pricing structure for this client? How do you feel like I should charge for this? And for me, I'm always pushing towards the fruit that the client gets, not necessarily the process that it takes to get to that fruit. That's a whole different podcast for a different day. But at the end of the day, man, like just being in the right rooms, and sometimes you got to pay for those rooms. Sometimes you got to pay for that community. Again, another quick story. I remember when I just graduated college, this group would meet. It was a bunch of youth leaders would meet with the youth pastor at 6 a.m. on Tuesday mornings as a I think, yeah, it was after I graduated college, just after I graduated college. I would drive 30 minutes. I would leave my apartment at 5:30 in the morning as a 22-year-old recent college grad about to be engaged. But I would drive for 30 minutes to go to this meeting for, an hour to an hour and a half, get done at 7:30, drive back 30 minutes to go to work. And that was the price I paid for community. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys that are in that room, guess where we're at now? The same guys that planted this church. And so now my family gets to reap from that seed that I sowed 10, 15 years ago, waking up at 5 in the morning to get to this meeting that really built these solid relationships. And so a lot of times, again, community plays a huge role in cultivating not only the business side of things, but the personal and relational side of things, and then that filters down into every other part of my life.
Yeah, no, I think, and there's also an importance too in setting up your own table. Sometimes you need to build a community of your own. Like if you feel, I know for so long for me, it was hard to get in certain rooms. I always felt like, man, if only I could get there, if only I could get here. And truthfully, half of these rooms don't know the answers either. You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, there's levels to this, of course, but when you get to certain rooms, like, we're all just trying to figure it out the same way when you were just starting out. But it just, there's levels to it. And I think for me, when you get too focused on, there's not enough of this in my community, there's not enough of that, start building that for your own community. Right now, my heart, for some reason, is in a place to the next generation. They're coming next. They're learning a lot faster than we are, and we're forgetting that because we're too busy trying to create whatever we know. And my heart right now is for the high schoolers that are about to graduate. So I actually want to create a program for a LISA community, just some kids that can potentially, because every parent signs you up for sports, but what if we sign you up for learning how to do some filming or learning just the art of editing? And so again, for so long I sat here and contemplated and also, questioned the community, why don't we have any program like this? Sometimes you have to build your own table and you're going to say, go for it. You had something.
No, I was gonna say, like, why don't we have this? Why doesn't somebody do this? And a lot of times, those big questions that we have, it's like, hey, bro, like, it's right here. Like,
literally,
what if you're the answer to that? You know what I'm saying? And I love that idea, bro, because like you said, the high schoolers have grown up with social media. They've grown up with a camera in their pocket. They've grown up documenting everything in their life. It's not this huge barrier of entry where you have to buy this big old shoulder rig with VHS tapes to put in there, and it's expensive. And then having to know how to like actually cut actual reels, cut
Yeah.
actual tape to splice together. You know, it's like no longer obviously do we have to do that, but this whole generation is obsessed with it. And even my Willow, my 10-year-old, she like loves to make these slime videos, right? She's like, Daddy, can I use your camera? Sometimes she won't ask me, and she'll get my Osmo and just start recording for 30 minutes of her just like messing with slime and, you know, talking directly to the camera, like, you know, she has this huge YouTube
I wouldn't
audience, and
I
it's
wouldn't be
hilarious.
surprised if she asked you if she could have a YouTube channel already.
Dude, no, funny story, right? I was working on our last episode 2, uploading that, right? Literally like in YouTube Studio uploading it. And she walked by. What? You have a YouTube channel? I said, yeah, babe, I got a YouTube channel. She said, that's no fair. How come I don't have a YouTube channel? I'm like, babe, you're 10. Like, we're not giving you a YouTube channel. We don't even let you watch YouTube. But, you know, so that is, yes, she does ask for that.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, something is happening with the younger crowd, the kids.
Yeah.
Like, there's even at that age already thinking or inspired to create. And I think, like I said, before we know it, this next generation is next. We're only going to get older, and it's time to share what we've learned through our journey. Even just this next generation is you know, a team of just content creators, like just left and right. That's becoming so normal to the point that, you know, even just holding a camera nowadays, nobody turns and looks twice anymore.
Right.
But yeah, so importance of community. It's you know, it's super crucial to have the right people, also to be in the right rooms, to be able, you know, sometimes you have to pay to be in the room, and other days you have to build your own table. Now, Stephen, what do you do how do you know what you're cultivating is even purposeful?
How do I know if what I'm cultivating is purposeful?
Yeah, because we all want to do so many different things, and, you know,
right.
And maybe that's a question for the next podcast, but if it's such,
I think it comes down to what. That's a great question, dude. It stumped me. So, how do I know if what I'm cultivating is purposeful? I think for me, if it's important to me, if I feel a passion behind it, if I feel, I just think if it's important to me,
that's good.
then
Yeah.
it's worth cultivating. I think certain relationships, right? Some of them are just kind of like, you know, I can give them the time of the day later. Others are just like, hey, somebody called me. I need to answer this. And it's really those that I feel connected to, really those, not really that I can like get things from, but like what's the reciprocal effect, right? What's the return on investment for this phone call, this relationship, this project? I think that's kind of how I view it. Hey, what's the potential of this seed? What's the potential of this soil? Okay, did they match? Is it going to work? So, you know, the Bible also talks about not casting your pearls before the swine, right? Not giving those important things to everybody. Not spending 2 hours on the phone with a potential client that you know doesn't have any budget. You know, not having the same conversations with friends that you've had for 3 years, trying to encourage them to do something that you know at the end of the day they're not going to take the next step of initiation, right? They're not going to implement. They're not going to come up with a plan. So, okay, if I know that, then let's challenge that, right? What you said, cultivating is about not compromising. That's also about not compromising your own time into a specific relationship or a specific project. From a business standpoint, some projects you're just like, hey, I got to get this done. I got to get this out. This has to be delivered. and this may not be a returning client, but hey, they hired me to do a job and I'm going to do it and it's going to be done and it's going to be great, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Right.
And there's other projects that you're just like, no, like it has to be this certain level. It has to be done this way. Hey, I need to send it to 3 different people to see what they think about it. I need to hire a voiceover talent. I need to hire, somebody to color it, XYZ, whatever it may be, because that's important to you. And that has the potential to really grow. So I think at the end of the day, short answer is, what's the return on this investment going to be? It could be financially, but relationally, is it going to restore me or is it going to deplete me?
That's good.
Okay. How do I want to handle this? How much energy do I want to put to something that's just going to totally deplete me? Is this client going to nitpick and have 20 revisions? Or are they going to be on the phone with me and walk through every frame of the edit, right? Or do they trust me to actually do what they want?
Are they going to micromanage? No, I think that's super important, because as creatives, I think sometimes, because when we get new clients, it's common, it's normal to want to lure them in or to get them as quickly as possible or whatever, just because it's a new potential client. But that's where I think that's where we lose focus, because like the clients that have been with you from day 1, day 2, day 3, whatever day it was, those are the clients you need to stay focused on. You need to cultivate. You need to continue to pour into. But I think sometimes when we get a new client, we try to like outshow ourselves. Like, we're going to send this, we're going to send that. And a lot of times we're just wasting a little bit of energy. Yeah, of course. Like, and we'll have another conversation about this, but I do believe there is power in even just free filming, right? Just even getting that.
Well, we're going to dive real deep into that.
Yeah. But I wanted to just lastly say, even just talking about community cultivating, just something, lastly, it's just, I've learned to be great in business, but I realized that I wasn't always great in relationships. And that is as honest as I can be, because, I got so focused in this thing because, one, it's scary, right? You're on your own and you're trying to survive and you're trying to keep the lights on. And I think for me, okay, I'm great at business, but how can you be great at relationships? And that's kind of the season I'm in now, is learning that, hey, not every relationship is about, business, or not everything is. Sometimes just don't even bring, because I even had the habits of bringing my camera to a small family function. It's like, don't bring the camera. Just be present. And it's not because I wanted I truly enjoy the art, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, I enjoy it so much that I got to learn how to put it down. And I think
that's good, man.
Putting yourself into just having those relationships with friends, going out for a hike, just things that help grow you in the process of you being, that farmer, the constantly every day taking care of it's going to flourish if you continue to take care of all the other things around it. And
100%. I love that. that. Man. If you take care of the things around it, it will flourish, right? If you take care of the soil, that's what we need to focus on, is how am I taking care of the soil? Because the seed, like the parable of the farmer sowing seed, the seed's good, right?
Seed's good.
That idea is probably pretty good. But what are you doing to make sure that the soil, what habits am I forming? What am I doing to improve myself and to get better, like you said, with relationships and with other things in my life, to make room for that seed to really flourish? And lastly, I want to leave with a couple practical things that really helped me. Is one, I was on staff full-time at a church in a creative field, and I surrounded myself with the marketing team, right? I remember going to John Packer's desk and just sitting there watching him design, in Photoshop just to get different, like, remember like blending modes, like he was a king in blending modes. I was like, all right, check, can do that. Guys like Chase and Wesley and Taylor, and the way they set up the studio and the way that they lit and the way that they bounce light, they hung up a bed sheet and bounced light off of that to get this nice soft look, so things like that really helped me, which is, again, like being in those rooms. And sometimes that takes, I know in today's world, everybody wants to be their own boss. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. And sometimes that can be your worst enemy, because then you try to do it all by yourself and you try to learn by yourself. And so many times it's quicker to learn from other people, to learn from other people's mistakes. Pastor Franklin used to talk about, you can learn from mistakes, or you can learn from mentors. And it's a lot quicker to learn from mentors and a lot less painful to learn from mentors than it is to learn from mistakes. And so that's the importance of community and surrounding yourselves, with that. If you can't be full-time somewhere, hop in with an agency. Go on these bigger shoots, right? Get connected, start rubbing elbows with people, not for the sake of what can you do for me, but just to learn, just ask questions. Mm-hmm. Go and be a PA on set. Ask the DP, ask the AC, hey, why do you do this? Hey, why do you want to use this lens? Why do you use this camera over that camera? Why do you set up lights? Asking the grips, right? Those are the people you really want to talk to, because they know everything, and they're the ones doing the actual work. Why do you hang this light this way, or how do you mount this, or what modifier do you use? Those types of things. Again, always be learning, always be asking, and surrounding yourselves, being humble enough to surround yourselves to go into these environments that you are a little bit uncomfortable with or maybe insecure about, but just to do it scared, to do it afraid, but to go in and ask questions. And one, like, be respectful of the room and read the room, obviously, but two, like, just be be curious.
I think the heart posture is the most important thing. It's like, where is your heart even in these types of shoots? I'll leave with this last story example-ish. So when I was in Mexico for a year, I was hired for a shoot, a video shoot, it was a video commercial shoot. And so from that year of being in Mexico, which I'll talk about it some other time, but I was limited on how I created. All of my equipment was on this side because I had to run business in the U.S. But all in all, to say is heart posture is super important. God will check you there. Because when I got this gig, I was told that, I was so excited to the point that I literally told them, I don't care what I do. I didn't even want to do photography, or video. Just let me be in the room. I don't care if I am just there to make sure everyone is on set. Give me whatever position, I'll clean up. That is literally where my heart was. And so anyhow, when all that happened, again, deep in my heart, I had no desire to be a videographer, and somehow I ended up becoming the main video guy. But they didn't have a clue of, what I could bring to the table. I just simply just said, let me just get in that room. Keep in mind, I already have a resume, but in Mexico I had nothing to show.
Right.
It was just so fresh to me, no equipment, no nothing. And so anyhow, heart posture is important. God will position you. Let me say it again. God will position you where you need to be. And again, I was just happy to be there, and somehow I ended up becoming the lead videographer. And I thought that was just incredible because, again, the heart posture matters. Yeah, it matters. 100%. It's not about what do you get from it. What are the benefits for me? It simply just get in the room. Just get in the room, and that's it.
Yeah, get in the room, and then when you're asked, just add value. So,
yes,
sir. Yeah, well, if y'all have made it this far, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the end of the podcast. Let us know. Hit us up on the Instagram. on YouTube in the comments, or whatever podcast platform you're listening to. Let us know you made it to the end, because we would love to have conversations with you, to interact with you. If you have any questions, drop them down below. As always, do all the YouTube things: like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, do all the things that really help us out. Leave a review on the podcast, because that really helps us out. So again, if you made it this far, thank you so much. We are just so grateful that you joined us. And as always, Fredo, thanks for hopping on, man. Love these conversations.
Love.
Yes, sir. And man, we look forward to the next episode of Dynamic Range, coming to you hopefully next Friday, in good faith and in the
good
Lord.
Faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, Fredo, love you, bro.
No,
thanks for hopping
appreciate it.
on, man.
Thank y'all so much.
Love these conversations. And yeah, we'll catch y'all next time.
We did
Peace.
it. Episode 3.